This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. First order of business, approval of the minutes of the August 19 meeting. Has everyone had a chance to look at the minutes, read them, and are there any corrections, deletions, or additions?
Motion to
I
approve.
didn't play that trumpet.
You gotta love this. You gotta love it.
This is John Wade. I've read the minutes. Everything looks good.
Would you like to make a motion to approve?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second
We have
by
a
Ed.
I'd like to second the motion.
I'll second the motion.
We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. All right, the first item on the agenda under old business is 2020-10, construction of a single-family house, proposed impact to 18,812 square feet, site address 450 James Farm Road, Assessors River Map 50, Block 18, 4, Unit 9, MTM Classic Homes. Do we have a motion to take this off the table?
So moved. Ed Cinto.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion, we have a second. Is there any discussion? All right, we'll take it off the table. So,
Who made the motion? Who made the motion to
Cinto.
take it off the table?
Ed Cinto.
Cinto, okay. I didn't realize you were here. Okay.
I'm here.
Okay, gotcha.
You can put it up against the horse.
Okay, so this is off the table, and is there a representative or the applicant before us?
This is Nicholas Owens speaking, Mr. Fay. I'm acting on behalf of the applicant. And this particular petition is pretty much, actually, it's an exact duplicate, with the exception of a couple of minor items, which I can't tell you what they are right now, of a petition that came before the Wetlands Commission a number of years ago and was approved. There is a conservation easement proposed with this, and I believe it's been recorded on the land records. And my belief is that because it was recorded on the land records, it was subject to planning approval, which was approved. So it's an approved subdivision of that property. The plat was placed on the land records along with a $25,000 bond, which solidified that approval. There was also a petition and an approval to the Board of Zoning Appeals because this was a rear lot situation. Unfortunately, there's been a number of complications over the year with the prior owner, and the new applicant has finally taken title to the property. And therefore, we realized when I had a conversation several months ago with Kelly that the wetlands permit had expired. So pretty much, so to speak, this is a reapproval what was already approved. And I leave it into your ladies and gentlemen's good wishes to reapprove this project, since it is a good project. It does not impact the wetlands or the downstream areas whatsoever. This is an upland review situation, and therefore I respectfully request that you approve this petition.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Mr. McCann.
through you, I have a question for Kelly.
Okay.
Kelly, the representation is made that the conservation easement is already on the land records. Is it exactly the same as the one that we are proposing currently?
I have not found it on the land records. The application that I received had a draft conservation easement to be filed on the land records, and that would be something. And we did look in our database. I didn't find it, but there could be a chance that it's recorded. I don't have a copy of any recording, and we are, as you guys all know, we are working on our conservation easement database. So, and this isn't one that we found. So, as a stipulation to the approval or even a building permit, we will require proof that this has been recorded on the land records before I sign off on my portion of the building permit application. Unless the applicant can provide at that time information that they've already recorded it as it is described or depicted on the mapping, then we would allow the building permit from there on out. So, short story, I have not found it recorded on land records as of yet.
Let me just, if I might, Nick Owen again, let me just suggest, thank you, Kelly. My understanding was that it was part of the subdivision recording and it was on the land records. However, with Mr. McCann's comments, if you want a new one or you want some language changed, we are more than happy to put a new conservation easement on the land records, and that can be, you can make that subject to approval if you so decide to approve this petition. There is no issue with the petitioner to do that.
That would be good.
Great. Yep. We do have a revised form that the town attorneys, a revised template rather, that the town attorneys have preferred recently. So I'll make sure that Nick, that you guys get that template to make sure that we have the right version recorded as well.
Okay, that works. That works.
Great. Good.
So that would be contingent upon the final approval of the permit.
That's correct.
Yes. I will not allow them to go forward with the inland wetlands permit or any work associated with a building permit until that is filed on the land records. And that's actually, not to digress, but that's holding up the Lindquist Drive thing right now because of the conservation easement issues. So it's real, and we will hold it up. So.
One more question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
In the first go round with this, we discussed putting in some sort of structure identifying the boundary between the conservation easement and the non-conservation portion of the property. The applicant just shows, I think it's 5 placards that are on posts. I believe the first one had a fence involved. Is that correct, Mr. Owen?
Mr. McCann, I'll be honest with you. I don't recall whether there was a fence or not. However, if the commission decides they want a fence, there is no objection to putting a fence up.
Very good.
Okay, so we need a motion, Mr. Chairman?
Hang on one second. We talk about a fence. Do we have any idea what kind of fence it is?
No, well, you know, they split rail any of that. It doesn't have to be
A
chain link or anything. It's just something
my way of thinking,
that you know you're crossing the line. And if the placards are inside the bushes, you know, again, Mr. Owen, for your thing, the first owner usually has a very good understanding of what's going on. It's the second and third owners that are really where we have the problems.
No disagreement. There's no disagreement. We're happy to put up a split wire fence.
Okay,
that's the reason. If you,
I understand.
all right, with that understanding, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
we have a motion. Well, hang on one second. We have a motion to approve with the delineation being a split rail fence, correct, Mr. McCann?
Yes, let's go with that.
Okay.
I got to go get my I think I got to go get my nitrous pills for my heart. Bill McCann made a motion to approve. My God.
We have a second?
The first time in 40 years, huh?
I know.
I'll second it.
We have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, so Nick, all you got to do is put a fence up and you're good.
All right. Let me, I want to diverse for a second, even though this is not on the agenda, but Bill tweaked something in my memory, and I just want to refer 1 second, although it's not on the agenda, to Nicky Lane off of Connors Lane. We were concerned that we had just had a great deal of discussion about the placards that are to be affixed to the post to delineate the wetlands. And I don't think any final decision was ever made whether the town was going to supply them or we were. Kelly's got her finger up.
We have them.
Yes, because she'll explain.
Can we have them?
We haven't had placards for quite some time, but literally today we picked up the placards and they have been produced. We have both inland wetlands boundary markers and we have conservation easement markers. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that we bought them in bulk for everyone to use, but likely going to do some sort of sale at a bulk price or something like that. Was that the plan, commission members? Refresh my memory.
Yeah, there was a fee, I know, for the plaques.
Okay. I'll look at what the bulk price is. It's really not much, but
No.
they'll be uniform throughout the town, and we have them ready. So Nick, we can talk
It's our
offline on
cost,
that.
it's like $25.
Yeah, we can talk about that. Kelly, and if you want, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. If you want to give them to my brother Joe to put up, he'll be more than happy to put them up. If there's a fee involved, then we'll pay the fee.
Okay, it's really nominal. We got them in bulk, like I said, so we got you guys a good price on them. But
Okay.
I'll talk to you and Joe offline on that.
All right. I'm sorry, but that Bill just tweaked my memory, and thank you for letting me interrupt on that.
All right, so Nick, you're all set. You're going to get the placards. You're going to pay
Perfect.
cash.
And I'm going to meet you at the corner barn
Cash.
in Maine at noon tomorrow.
All right, moving on. New business.
Oh, yeah.
2016 7V, single family dwelling, upland review area, wetlands, restoration of regulated upland habitat, previously clear cut without the benefit of a permit. We all know about this, blah, blah, blah. And I assume, Mr. Owen, you are here on behalf of the applicant.
Your assumption is correct, Mr. Chairman, and I thank you for this time. I did have a conversation maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago with Kelly regarding this. I had opened my file because I heard from the owner of the property and wanted to know if there was any possibility of me taking on this job and attempting to go back into the Board of Zoning Appeals to get the necessary waivers for him to build a single-family home. I opened my file and discovered, because I hadn't looked at this file in a couple of years, over the wetlands approval that you guys were gracious enough to approve. They were either 2 or 3 months of very contentious hearings, but you guys, you approved it. You did the right thing to restore this property. In the meantime, I took a walk over there yesterday in the afternoon, and you may want to take. Some of you guys may want to go out there and probably Bill McCann, because he would probably be the most critical, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but he probably
I'm sure you don't.
I don't, Bill. I mean,
Okay.
Bill, I like you, but I'd like to throw you in a swamp too at some point.
This has been recorded.
See, you guys may want to rethink exactly what you want us to plant, if you want us to plant everything that was originally approved, or you want a revision of it, because that place has grown it substantially over the past 2 or 3 years, which you know what I'm leading to, that the owner has done nothing because he was frustrated. We've been in court with this thing over the waivers, and we're going to try to go back again before the board to get the waivers. Unfortunately, not that you guys should make a decision based on totally on financial, but it's a financial issue, because if he can't get this lot approved, I mean, he's got some problems there. But you may want to take a look at this before we go any further. That was really number 2 on my list. My first list is, my take is that this permit is still in full force and effect. And that was my initial conversation with Kelly. And Kelly, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to misspeak on this. And basically, I'll turn it over to her and you guys to decide what you'd like to do.
Sure. Just really quick, just to recap, so Nick did call about this, and I was already talking to our attorney on something else, so I brought this situation up. And I looked back in our meeting minutes, and I think it was January, February meeting, we revoked the permit because the applicant was not able to get their zoning permits. And in speaking with the town attorney's office, we can't do that. We need a better basis to revoke a permit. They didn't really act against their permit in any way that I could understand or find, or that the town attorneys could. So we were talking. I was talking with the town attorney, and we decided that the permit should still be in effect. But I do think that because so much time has lapsed since when this whole thing started, I think in 2016 it was, to now, there has been some regeneration. I haven't been to the property, full disclosure, but I'm sure there's been some regen. of certain species, whether they're invasive or native, I don't know. But I think that if the applicant does wish to proceed in a timely manner, while the permit is still technically valid, that the commission probably should do a site walk and understand the current conditions at the site, and perhaps maybe the applicant should have a wetland, not a wetland, it's an upland, should have some sort of natural resources biologist of some sort go out and assess the property as well to see if they would agree or disagree with, do we need to modify the terms of the permit? Maybe we don't, maybe we do. But a lot of time has lapsed since this permit was given out, and just because of the nature of this work, it's an upland restoration. We're not just going in and cutting trees down and building a house. It's an actual restoration. So I think that because of that, we should revisit some of the terms of the permit just to make sure that we're both the applicant and the commission are comfortable moving forward, just given this amount of time that's lapsed.
Kelly, can I ask a question?
Sure.
In your memorandum, you suggest that you talk to the town attorney and that the commission cannot revoke a permit without reasonable justification.
Mm-hmm.
You given a definition of reasonable justification?
Have I been given?
Well, I read that and I looked at it and I looked at the Connecticut general statutes in terms of what inland wetland commissions can do.
Okay.
And I happen to have a couple of lawyers on my payroll. So
Wow.
3 of my children are lawyers. So they said that that's kind of a nebulous term, and under the law, the commission does have that ability. So I'm going to have to respectfully disagree with the town attorney, but I think going beyond that, as Mr. Owen suggested, maybe we should take a step back. We'll go take a look at this thing, and maybe we can make another decision.
Okay, I just think that because.
But I have to disagree with the town attorney.
That's fair, that's your right to do that. But I do think that because part of this permit was a restoration, if the applicant or the permit holder wants to move forward with a restoration, that is a positive. So I think we should work with the applicant in this scenario.
Okay.
As you also seem to agree with.
Bill, I'd like to respectfully request you submit a copy of your law degree and admission to the bar in the state of Connecticut.
Listen, Mr. Owen, I paid for all of those. I paid over $500,000 to get that certificate, so there, all right?
Okay, so
Kelly, this is John. I'd like to ask Nick a question about the owner of the property. Has the owner entertained the thought of maybe just selling the property and maybe he doesn't really want it, or does he really insist on keeping the property? And has he mentioned anything about selling the property?
Well, that is a legitimate question, and it deserves a legitimate answer. Here's the problem. The problem is, and I'm going to go back just for a couple of minutes. He recognized, of course, after the fact, what he did was wrong. He was kind of concerned that after he did that, the neighbors would come out wholly against him from doing everything and anything that he could possibly do to build a home on that property. At one point, I had not approached, it wasn't me, so I don't know whether he approached the neighbors or someone approached the neighbors on his behalf to see if they would be interested in purchasing the property. My understanding was they all could not or would not get together, and I could be off base a little bit, but the thinking at that time was, well, if he can't get approval to do anything, then the property is going to stay there forever and ever. And some of the arguments at the public hearing was, well, our houses, our backyards abut this property. We like looking at the woods, and we don't want to see anything built back there. And I'm sure you guys have heard that time and time again. Well, the fact of the matter is what's not yours is not yours. And if you have the right to build on your property, I don't care if you want to look at my trees or you don't want to look at my trees. If I've got a right to do something, I want to do it. So he would like to ultimately build a single family home there. That's what he would like to do. The town, at some point, if he can't do it, he may, in fact, and I'm speculating, may approach the town to see if the town wants to buy it as open space. Or maybe the town, along with the neighbors, can do something there as an open space, a little habitat. But quite frankly, I can't give you a firm and pat answer of any other scenario other than the fact that he'd like to develop the property at some point. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. I mean, given his frustration with what's going on, I just had to bring up that particular item because at some point, he's not going to sit on that property for the next 50 years. He's going to want to offload it at some point because it's costing him penalties. It's costing him letters from the town. It's costing your time and efforts with him. So eventually, I would assume if he can't get anything done or nothing's going to get resolved, I mean, I would probably suggest he pay off the permit, do whatever he's got to do, and sell the property.
Well, but that's
Well,
not our charge, so to tell him what to do.
Yeah.
I understand your comments and I appreciate them, and I will certainly pass them on to Mr. Hirsch. And
It's not our charge.
I'm sorry.
It's not our charge to tell him what to do with
Right.
his property.
And you know, we'll try to keep going and make this thing right and make it viable for everyone. But
right. So
I understand your comments, and I thank you.
Okay.
to
Thanks, Nick.
recap, we have this lot. We have an opinion from the town attorney that says the permit is still valid. We have a differing opinion. Should we direct our staff to take a look at the property and report back to us what she thinks the current state of it is, and then consider moving forward with the legal opinion that we have that the permit is in fact valid? That's up to you guys to decide. I'm just asking. It seems to me the first
Mr.
thing we
Chair-
should do is look at it.
Well, no,
Well,
I was going to say, go ahead, Tom, I'm sorry.
Oh, was that Eddie? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ed.
Okay, no, what I was going to say, I think that's a good idea, Tom. I think a couple of the commissioners and Kelly, if she likes, should go out to the property and look at it, walk around. I know for a fact I've been by there many times. It grew in very rapidly. It's, I shouldn't say it's back to the way it was, but it almost did. And I think it would be to do our due diligence to send a couple of guys out there to take a look, and then we can entertain what you said.
Any comments from the other commissioners?
No, I think that Eddie's got a good idea there, Tom.
Makes sense.
Mr. McCann?
Well, I'll volunteer to go with the wetland agent and take a look at it. If any of, and I would like to have maybe at least one or two more of the commissioners.
I can go if possibly, depending on, you know, whatever time of the day it is.
Right.
I'd be happy.
Being that, you know, we can't all be really, really close on this property based on current situations, I think we can all take a look at it, you know, with
Stay
a
6 feet
certain
apart.
amount of social distancing and.
Yeah. But plus, there's plenty of air out there, so you don't have to worry.
It is outdoors.
That's right. So, we're less than 25, so you don't have to worry about getting fined by the. Never mind.
All right, Kelly, could you set that up?
Yeah, I'll confer with Nick and we'll make sure that everything's all set for us going on the property, and then maybe I'll send out a little poll of some times and dates that would work best for the majority of the commission members. Does that work?
Works for me.
Sounds good.
Sounds good to me. Works for me.
Okay, so
This is John.
having
John
said
Quinn.
that,
Tom, this is
Why don't we have
John.
a motion to table this until site visit, and then to put it back on the agenda for the next meeting following the site visit, and we can notify the applicant and he can come before us at that time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yes,
Hey, Tom,
so moved.
this is John Wayne. If Kelly wants, I'd be willing to go with them.
Okay,
Just
so we
let
have
me
a
know.
motion from Dennis Blake. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
I'll second.
We have a second. Any further discussion?
No.
All right. So this business is tabled pending a site visit. And after that site visit, we'll put it on the next meeting agenda after that site visit, which is going to be set up by Kelly, hopefully before the next meeting.
That's the
Acceptable
plan.
to the applicant?
Fine.
That works. Yeah, that works for me. And I appreciate the courtesy. I think it would be a good idea.
Okay, good. So that takes care of that.
Mhm.
Next item
All
on
right,
the
Jeff.
agenda.
I'll leave you guys to your deliberations, and thank you so much for listening to my short presentations, and have a good evening.
You too.
Arrivederci.
Okay.
Thank you,
take care.
Mr. Owens.
Thank you, Attorney McCann. Thank you, Attorney McCann.
Adios.
And how
All
do I
right, the
shut
next
this
item
off?
on the agenda
Shut this
is the
off.
staff
Kyle, how do I
report.
shut this off?
Kelly.
What's that? Sorry, it was muffled.
Next
What'd you
item
say?
is staff.
The
Oh,
red
okay.
button?
All right, staff report. A lot of the same old, same old. Big thing I'm waiting on right now from MetroCog is their internal conservation easement viewer. There was a conservation easement violation identified that has been acted on by the town attorney's office. There is a wetland area within that conservation easement, so we're yet to be seen on the offender's response, but there was a shed and a mowed area extending into a conservation easement that on property that is town owned. So we did issue a somewhat of a violation, a notice to vacate the property. So that was recently done within the past week or so. So yet to be seen on that, but I'm envisioning that there may be more of those once this conservation easement viewer is uploaded and fully operational. But MetroCog's a little bit behind on getting that over to us. Other than that, I had no violations, 2 administrative permits, one at 24 Mill Drive for the construction of a garage within the upland review area of a intermittent water course that feeds into the 4 Mill River. And another for an in-ground pool with a surrounding deck within the upland review area of wetlands associated with Pumpkin Ground Brook, and that was located at 335 Rosebrook Drive. Other than that, no other violations, no other permits, and then, like I said, we did get our the easement boundary marker signs and the wetlands boundary marker signs, so we're ready to rock and roll on those. They look good. I'm excited to use them finally. I think it's been a while since we've had them, so that's all I got.
Okay, so
Kelly?
that's staff report and administrative permits, correct, Kelly?
Yeah, I combined them all out of order. I'm sorry.
Commissioners Forum, any questions, comments?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Kelly, do you have your memorandum that you sent to us in front of you?
Yes, been going back and forth.
We're not having a meeting this Saturday, are we?
Uh-oh, what did I put? Where are you looking?
Yeah, there's the September 19th meeting.
I don't know where that is. That's a typo. Where is that?
Won't be available on Saturday.
Don't come, we're not having a meeting. I don't know where that is, but that's a typo. Where is that? Tell me where that is. I don't see it. Oh, I see it. Okay, sorry about that. Good catch. Thank you for
No problem. Just kidding.
pointing out my
Just kidding.
failures. All right. Any other questions?
No.
I have nothing.
Nope.
Nothing.
Dennis?
I have
John?
nothing.
Dennis?
Nope.
Pat? Eddie?
Nothing.
All right, so it looks like we're to number 8, which is adjournment. Unless anyone has anything else.
Nope. I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I
We
will
have a
second
second?
the motion.
I second the motion.
I'm sure there's no discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Meeting adjourned at 7:33. Good job.
Bunch of
Tom, you're
laggards.
getting better. You're getting better
Kelly,
and better.
now that we're adjourned, can I ask you a question?